Imagine this. The millionaire living next door to you doesn't live in a mansion or drive a sports car. In fact, there's someone you'd probably never guess living a simple life. Reading The Millionaire Next Door completely changed my perspective on wealth. In this video, I want to share what I learned from this book and how it helped me rethink what it means to build a life of financial security and success. When most people think about millionaires, they think of entrepreneurs driving flashy cars, celebrities with luxury wardrobes, or athletes with massive mansions. But in reality, the majority of millionaires do not fit that image at all. The typical millionaire isn't someone showcasing wealth. They're the neighbor you'd least suspect. Most live in modest homes, often around $500,000. Actually, when the book was written in 1996, the average price of a home that millionaires were buying were about $300,000. And the average car was a Toyota Camry. What matters isn't the exact value of their home, but the intentional choice to live below their means, focusing on long-term wealth instead of appearances. Here's an example of a commonly known figure, Warren Buffett, who's still living a simple life and giving his money to charity. Warren Buffett's estimated net worth is $73.3 billion. One of the absolute richest men in the world, the business magnate and philanthropist has given vast amounts of his wealth to charity and lives an exceedingly regular life. He still lives in Nebraska in a home he bought more than 50 years ago for just over $30,000. His wedding to his second wife was a low-key affair, far less extravagant than many of our own. Instead of shopping at designer boutiques, they're buying their clothes from stores like JCPenney. They practice something called stealth wealth, where they quietly build and maintain their financial independence without showing off. They're not interested in impressing others. Instead, they focus on what truly matters: saving, investing, and living a stable and grounded life. When I first read this, it was incredibly eye-opening because it really shattered the notion that wealth equals extravagance. It really hammered home this idea that no matter where you are currently, that wealth building begins with the choices you make every day. As the book puts it, wealth is what you accumulate, not what you spend. This mindset shift changes everything. We live in such a consumerist society where it's very, very, very normal to spend every dollar you earn. This book puts that concept on its head. Wealth truly isn't about how much you earn. That might sound shocking by itself. It's not about depriving yourself of everything you love. It's about making thoughtful choices with your money that align with your goals and values. The millionaires in The Millionaire Next Door didn't get rich by chasing luxury or spending carelessly. They saved consistently and made smart financial decisions, often setting aside 50% or more of their income for saving and investing. I feel like I need to repeat that: saving 50% or more of their income for saving and investing. And I just want to riff for a second here because that might sound astounding and instantly out of reach for most people. However, that doesn't mean it has to be out of reach forever. And if you start small, you can slowly increase that over time. So contrast the average millionaire in the book. I just did on the fly. I asked Siri about what the average US savings rate is, and it was typically around 5 to 7%, but in 2023 hit an all-time low of 3.7%. So again, contrast that with 50%, and it's no wonder these people are able to build wealth. This didn't mean sacrificing happiness. It meant focusing on what truly mattered and cutting out what didn't. A great example of this is Mr. Money Mustache, who retired in his early 30s, maybe 30 exactly, while saving 70% of his income. He didn't have a flashy job or endless wealth. He made in the low six figures as an engineer out of college, but he focused on living hyper intentionally and using every dollar to support his goals. His story shows that building wealth isn't about luck or having a massive paycheck. It's about living purposefully. You don't have to follow an extreme path to get to financial independence, though. I like to think about this concept as a dial. The biggest metric for are you going to be wealthy or not is often your savings rate. So again, we learned a second ago that the average person in the US, 3.7% of their money every month versus Mr. Money Mustache on the opposite end of the spectrum, saving 70%. So the reality is, where do you want to be on that continuum? My personal advice is that You need to, number one, start where you are, no matter where you want to end up. But it's not about deprivation. If you choose the 70%, that's not, I think, a great goal, because there's a lot of price that you might pay depending on your income, depending on your lifestyle, depending on your choices, on your hobbies, your desires and goals, etc. But there is a happy medium somewhere for you between 3.7% and 70%. Again, the key is to align your spending with your goals and prioritize what brings value in your life. The takeaway is simple. When you're intentional with your money, it grows in ways that create security and freedom. That's how you build a life that you don't need an escape from. You know, the Mr. Money Mustache story stuck with me. It really hit me in a time I was probably discovering the blog around its inception. It came out around 2011, which is the year that I got married and was working in a corporate job that I hated. And I struggled with my mindset to think that, like, this isn't even possible. Like, I remember hearing about this and just feeling absolutely flabbergasted about the concept, and had a lot of must be nice kind of feeling towards it. It's taken me a while to grow my mindset to understand what's possible, and too, that, you know, I spent years of my life really struggling and beating myself up that I wasn't saving 70% of my income. As crazy as that might sound to you. But again, I think that the sweet spot is somewhere in between for everybody, and it's going to be largely dependent on how much income you're bringing in. There are other economic factors like inflation that can skew our lens and make it difficult for us to feel like we're getting ahead. Again, the takeaway is simple. Align your spending with your goals, assuming your spending is still below your means, and you're building a life where money works for you. One of the biggest lessons this book highlights is the materialism trap. Sure, buying a new car or designer bag feels exciting at first, but that excitement fades quickly. You're left wanting the next new thing, stuck in a cycle of spending and dissatisfaction. The book highlights this treadmill effect and explains that real satisfaction doesn't come from things, it comes from purpose and your values. The book emphasizes that no matter what your income is, you must always find ways to live below your means. For me, as a Christian, this idea is very closely tied to my faith. I like to think of the acronym of JOY, Jesus, others, you. When I keep my priorities in that order, I find a deeper, lasting amount of happiness that no shopping can replace. Material things might feel good in the moment, but they don't last. Instead, focusing on things that truly matter, like relationships, growth, your values, those lead to lasting fulfillment. The biggest lesson from the Millionaire Next Door is this: financial success is about the decisions you make with your money. Every dollar saved acts like a worker earning more dollars through compound interest. The earlier you start saving and investing, the more powerful this compound effect becomes. And that saved money brings you closer and closer to financial freedom. This freedom can be a safety net from emergencies, can build an income stream for your future, or just allow you to retire comfortably. This book taught me to see money differently by understanding that it's not just something to spend. It's a tool to create opportunities and security. As the authors explain, wealth is what you accumulate, not what you spend. Through this, I continue to learn that the way that you use money shapes your entire future. Whether through saving or investing or leveraging for an education, money becomes a means to learn to grow and build a solid foundation for lasting success. It gave me the understanding that wealth is more often the result of a lifestyle of hard work, planning, perseverance, and most often self-discipline. Here's what I mean. Wealth is built on choices. It's about choosing discipline over instant gratification, focusing on your long-term goals, and using money as a tool to create that security and freedom. But let's be honest, staying disciplined isn't easy. That is why I love automation. By setting up automations to savings, investing, debt payments even, you remove the temptation to spend and make consistent progress without even thinking about it. It's like having a built-in system that keeps you on track, no matter how busy or distracted life gets. Automation makes discipline near effortless, helping you stick to your financial goals and stay ahead. It reminds us that every dollar has a purpose. Use it wisely to create the life that you truly want, not by wasting money on things that don't really matter. So just another note here, wealth building is not easy. Creating any new habit or any new change is not easy. The easiest way to do it is to lower the barrier to success. Here's a silly example. If you want to start flossing, experts often recommend just commit to flossing 1 tooth a day. As silly as that sounds, by lowering that expectation on yourself, it's very easy to just floss 1 tooth and you realize, okay, this is only going to take me like 30 seconds, 2 minutes maybe. The same is true with wealth building, especially through automation. What can you do? What is the smallest next action step you can take to begin to move the needle to make this journey a reality for you? Because if we try to do everything overnight, we get stuck, we fall off the wagon, and then we say it doesn't work. The Millionaire Next Door changed the way that I think about wealth. It showed me that building financial freedom is not about looking rich. It's about making choices that align with your values and your goals. If you've ever felt stuck or unsure about your financial future, I encourage you to take a step back and evaluate where your money is going. Maybe as soon as I say that, you know, it's DoorDash. What small changes can you make to move closer to the life you want? Small change number 1, open a savings account at a separate institution from where you do your banking and put $10 a month in there. Do more if you can, but don't try and do $1,000 if that's unrealistic for your situation. You could say, hey, I'm going to increase the minimum on one credit card and pay $50 more a month. You could say, hey, I'm finally going to open that investment account and do $10 a month. Make changes like that. Don't just say, I'm going to eat DoorDash less or I'm going to shop less. Those are intangible goals that will leave you nowhere. If you're ready to go deeper, check out my coaching program. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out and get started. Your financial decisions can have a huge impact on your future, and they can fill you with regret if you don't take action. You could watch my previous video about what I would tell my younger self, if I could, when it comes to finances. See you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.